Hello everyone, this is Bentley from Kent, Washington, and today we're going to do two major updates. First, I'm going to talk about the guppies and kind of address, I've had this huge outreach of people asking about whether or not I'm selling guppies, when I'll sell guppies. So I'll address that in just a sec, and then afterward, keep watching because I'm going to show off that cool little ADA shallow tank that's in Jimmy's video when he was asking about how I got into the hobby. It was kind of sitting off to the side of me in a corner. We're going to go in that tank in a lot more detail and let you guys see what's going on as that slowly starts to grow out as my kind of little project tank. So let's talk guppies. These are, of course, the Blue Hawaiian Moscows, which Lucas Bretz has a few, and have really been probably my most popular thing on my YouTube channel, which is, always surprises me as somebody I'm a big rainbow fish nerd and a plant nerd. So when the guppies that I kind of keep mostly for myself are my most popular thing, I'm a little surprised, and yet at the same time, I know people love guppies, and this blue is so amazing. So why wouldn't it capture other hearts, right? I've had a huge outpouring of people asking me if I'm going to sell the guppies, will I sell guppies, when can I ship them, stuff like that. Let me explain why I have basically answered no, with the exception to Lucas. So in the case of Lucas, as if you've watched a previous video, part of that is just getting them out to a couple other places, and you'll probably immediately ask, well, like I'm in a different place, why won't you get them out to me? So you keep spreading them around. Um, my main reason is this, and it's a lot of paranoia. Let's be honest. So I want to watch as the babies that are in this tank grow up over the next few months and make sure that I'm not seeing any degradation in the line, that I'm seeing the color I expect, that I'm seeing good fin shapes, good fin sizes, good caudal size, all those things. This is me making sure that should I send you a pair of guppies, uh, you know, you're going to get the kind of fish I would want and that will breed true. Now, the person who originally owned this, Leanne, did everything right when she owned these, and she had these for years and years and years, which is why the colony is so big. She bought her first trio, and then eventually, after a year and a half or so, she contacted Mr. Roebuck again, bought another trio to keep the genetics diversified, and she kept doing this every year and a half to 2 years to make sure that you didn't get them too inbred. Now, normally with something like a guppy, you can go, it's like 400 generations. It's really crazy before you start worrying about genetic deterioration. But the problem is, we don't know how many generations before this came to create this line. So it's no fault of Leanne's at all. This is me being hyper paranoid and basically just being a stickler for quality. I would refuse to ever put a product out to somebody that wasn't the thing I wanted to keep in my tank. And I'm kind of I guess a little retentive about that. I mean, there's a word before that, but I'm trying to be polite. But it's a matter of me wanting to be absolutely sure when I start to ship fish out and I start to get them out to people, so that this line goes from only a couple people really keeping it to thriving. I want to make sure that if I send you a couple pairs of guppies, it's not going to be, oh, I had like a generation and they looked good, and then after that all the other babies like didn't have any good color. All that beautiful blue's gone. They're just boring looking. I don't want that. I want you to have the same beautiful fish I have. So I'm just kind of being a stickler and watching to make sure that everything goes fine, that I'm not seeing anything weird. That's it. That's the only reason why right now I'm saying no. And also, like, it's the hottest time of the year. It's not a good time to ship, let's be honest here. But this is mostly me trying to make sure that when I do sell guppies and when they do go to people, they are the exact same quality I expect in the fish that I keep for myself, with no intentions of selling. I mean, they're just there for my own enjoyment. So that's why. So let's talk about this little shallow tank. There are a few questions about this on Jimmy's video. This is an ADA 60F, so it's 24 inches long, 12 inches front to back, and about 7 inches tall. It's a cool little shallow tank. Right now, it's been running an AquaClear on it just to kind of keep some water movement going. I actually have an Eheim canister that just showed up, a little 2211 that's going to take over for it. And then I'm gonna try to see if, because it's so shallow, it's a little hard to fit some of the glass pipeware. But a friend of mine gave me some glass lily pipes from his old tank because he's getting out of fresh water just because of some moving and some changes in his life. He just doesn't have time for it anymore. So I'm gonna see if I can find a way to get those to fit on this cleanly. So let's talk about the plants in here. In the very back, on the right and left, you will notice some Alternanthera reinekii mini that's been grown out from tissue culture. In the very center between all of that is this lovely patch of stargrass that was given to me by Joel, aka Corvus Oskin. Thank you, Joel. You're awesome. And then on the dragonstone, you'll notice I only have two pieces of dragonstone. I'm going for this really kind of minimal aquascape look. I wanted it to kind of look like a little like cliff or mountainy valley. Uh, and I really like the Dutch style, so I'm kind of being like a little more plant heavy. So we've got some dwarf baby tears in here, some hydrocardyl tripartita Japan, or the Japan clover. Then on the rock is actually a really cool species of Anubias nana called Pangolino, which has these kind of small pointy leaves. Really, really cool plant. More widely available in tissue cultures currently. It's a really cool one if you guys like your Anubias. You can see it there, long, kind of thin, pointy leaves. Very cool. There's that beautiful stargrass, which is looking great, the Reinekii that's growing out. And then you can see a couple of pieces of the Myriophyllum mini Guyana, or the Myriophyllum mini. That's just in here because I want to see the difference between with CO2 and not CO2. There's some that's in the guppy tank that is getting CO2. I just want to watch the differences in the growth. It's kind of a personal experiment, just so that when I have some of this plant go out to other folks, for folks that are interested in that plant, I can show them the visual difference between with and without CO2 and give them some direct feedback about how it grows. In the future, that canister is going to go on here. The dwarf baby tears are probably coming out. I was just doing a short experiment to see how slow and how hard it is to carpet without CO2, but using liquid carbon. And then I've got a bunch of crypts that are on the way that are a little rare. They're going to take up a lot of the extra space that are in this tank. So you'll keep seeing updates on this thing and watch it as it grows out. This is kind of my first attempt at more serious aquascaping, as minimal as it is, but very, very plant-oriented aquascaping, in something a little more fancy than my usual tanks. So again, as always, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you want to know some more about the guppies or this tank, shoot it down in the comments. And as always, stay awesome.